Welcome everyone. These are some amazing bonus clips we're watching right now. I got sent so many submissions for this PvP topic. It was like the release of Dark Souls 3 all over again. Thank you so much for taking the time out to get out there and try out new ideas, record your crazy clips, and then send them to me. I've always really appreciated that. You know, I think this might be the longest running Dark Souls series on YouTube. And the fact that so many people have been involved in this series over the years is incredible. And to think it all started back years ago when I saw RuneScape channels hosting top 10 showcases for their communities, but no one was doing it for Dark Souls, which is the game I was really getting into at the time. So I thought I'd step up and try it out, and just see if anyone else shared the same interests as me. And here we are. That being said, I really do have too many submissions this time. I'm gonna have to do another top 10 PvP moments after this, part 2, which I'll start working on soon. So next time I'll have a new topic for you again. With that being said, let's begin this countdown at number 10. Nick has sent in his first ever submission to the channel, even though he says he's been watching me from the Dark Souls 2 days. So nice to have you here, Nick. In this clip, he's invaded in the Dregs Heap area, which is part of the second DLC expansion to the game. He's on a Bloodshade character, which not everyone will be aware of, so I'll explain what that is quickly. The Bloodshades were a player-made covenant for Dark Souls 3 that were formed around 2 years ago to combat the ganks and unfair fights taking place in Irithyll. These players identified each other by having bleed-focused builds. They all wore the Undead Legion armor chest piece and had the word Bloodshade written in their name, so it was kind of like an organized group of invaders. I can probably explain a little bit more in the comments if anyone's interested, but back to the invasion. He's entered right on one of these big tree branches, which is an amazing spot since it's covered by an angel, one of the strongest enemies in the game. The host and his backup Darkmoon end up spotting him, but this is a dangerous location, high above the ground with barely any room to move, and there's an aggressive angel close by. There's actually a second Darkmoon attempting to move up the tree branch behind them as well, but with no luck, he's currently pinned down by the angel's light attacks. The host starts firing off dark sorcery. Great soul dregs, actually quite a good option to have here since it's a massive size, which makes it difficult to roll through. This is shaping up to be an amazing invasion. What a unique situation this is, with the angel's light attacks damaging both players even though it only targets the host. That was an incredible ending, with the angel becoming the most valuable player, although actually the invader got the full victory there, even with the double death, with his patience and positioning being well rewarded. Number 9. Ridley is in one of those ridiculously chaotic invasions that Irithyll likes to serve up. Now he's a red phantom disguised as a white summon with the white ring. They all have unfaltering prayer active, so none of them get pushed initially, but these force castings aren't stopping anytime soon. Ridley wins that spontaneous force battle and sends everyone around him flying off the Anor Londo fortress. That was an extremely confusing, chaotic, yet hilarious invasion that makes that other red phantom at the end very happy. Sneem, or maybe Snime, is invading in Dark Souls 2, and speaking of, I actually got sent a lot more Dark Souls 2 footage than we normally see, which is nice. In case you're new here, I accept submissions from all the Souls games, all versions and all consoles. Now, back to the invasion. He's invaded in the Dragon Shrine, which is a location filled with Dragon Knights, which have been changed in the more recent Scholar of the First Sin edition. If you summon in players to help you, they become hostile, otherwise they'll remain neutral. Either way, this host and his summons have brought the fury of the Dragon Knights upon themselves, so it turns into an all-out war. Keep in mind, the Dragon Knights can parry, guard break, roll, jump attack, and heal themselves, so they are great allies to have on your side as an invader. At some point during all this chaos, he almost manages to kill the host, but since he has a halberd, he isn't able to deal the remaining damage. Snime said this might be the most epic thing he's ever done in a Souls game, and I have to say, I can see why. Pushing your opponent off a cliff while riposting them through the chest the whole way down, I definitely think that should go down as legend. The next submission here is from DSLoser, who is another first-time submitter, so great to have you here, man. He's dueling people in the Round Plaza arena in Dark Souls 3, and he's wielding the Ring Knight Straightsword, which has a fantastic weapon art combo.
You don't want that. I told you don't want that. Bye-bye.
His opponent was using the Crucifix of the Mad King, which is a complex weapon to manage because of how the weapon art works. The description tells us the weapon art always triggers one of 3 effects, but they are random, and the one his opponent ended up with was a Vexation, which spawns a tracking dark sorcery that explodes after a few seconds, and it can be dodged.
Bye-bye.
The fact that DSLoser called that before it happened makes it so much better. The timing on this was just perfect. Cosmic Carrot comes in here with the Battle of the Twink builds. Both himself and the Invader have extreme late game gear on their low level builds, although the playstyles couldn't be more different. The Invader is relying on overpowered dark bead blasts, whereas Cosmic Carrot has the rarely seen miracle Karmic Justice, which lasts for 60 seconds and is highly unstable. So good, seeing 2 lower level, overpowered builds smash into each other. This was truly an unstoppable force meeting an immovable object situation. Karmic Justice triggers once you've taken 5 hits in a row and unleashes a huge purple shockwave, which is lethal at this level. And wouldn't you know it, Dark Bead has 5 individual projectiles, thus causing the explosion to trigger instantly. Back in the Dark Souls 3 Hollow Arena, this duel takes place on the Kiln of Flame map. These arenas are extra DLC content if you're wondering why you haven't found them yet, by the way. So this submission revolves around an interesting feature of the Young White branch. And when I say feature, it's almost an exploit. So when you disguise yourself as an object with either the Chameleon Sorcery or the White Branch item, you normally cannot perform any movement or you'll break out. And this goes for attacking, sprinting, blocking, and so on. However, Cirque has noticed you can use some weapon arts without breaking the disguise. And in this case we have the Giant Door Shield weapon art, which slams the 2 shields together defensively. Taking any damage whatsoever would also interrupt you out of the disguise. But this shield has 100 physical damage reduction, so he's free to block in his disguise until his stamina runs out. The clear benefits to doing this includes the fact his opponent can't lock onto him, and he'll also find it quite difficult to predict when he's attacking. It's funny how effective this actually ends up being. I guess what his opponent should have done is take out a weapon with a split damage type, but how is he supposed to know, really? Luri whips out an amazing combo at number 4. Here it is.
Double kill.
Short and sweet, what an awesome moment that was. A double kill with the whip. The Witch's Locks, to be precise. Usually a whip for pyromancers, since the weapon art that you see here lights it on fire. You very rarely see whips used as a primary weapon, but for the stylish moments you can have like this, I think it's so worth it. This next one is a joint collaboration with X3M Slayer and The Main, and it's just a normal day in Anor Londo with nothing strange happening at all, perfectly ordinary host being chased by a perfectly ordinary invader.
Well, what is it, boy?
Well, I guess that Sunbro wasn't so ordinary. I think elevators and rotating staircases are mechanisms in Dark Souls games which have always worked quite strangely. I'm sure you know what I mean, especially if you've watched this series before. When this Sunbro got summoned in, the rotating stairs are down on his level, but just not physically there. I guess the game didn't sync up the stairs properly. Anyway, he clipped through the wall, went upstairs and joined his friend, and started coming up with ideas on how to make this glitch work to their favour. The Grant is a weapon from the NPC Paladin Leroy. The two-handed strong attack creates an AoE explosion like Wrath of the Gods, but it scales with strength and faith. But it also benefits from an activated red tearstone ring, which is how he does enough damage to one-shot this unsuspecting invader. However, this type of thing only works once, of course. In the end, a previous victim invades again, and now they know what to expect. An amazing Dark Souls 2 clip for us here from Adam. He's invading onto the Ironkeep Bridge, which I feel like has always been the busiest PvP location in the whole game. 4 high-level opponents are waiting for him. 2 Sunbros, a White and a Host. It's the most dangerous type of gank also, a mix of strong heavy tank builds and ranged sorcerers firing off hexes. It's also worth pointing out that he was summoned through a red soapstone sign here as well, so this is an organised group of gankers trying to farm invaders like poor Adam here. Running deeper into the Iron Keep to the Smelter Demon's front lawn is a good choice. There's more places to split the party up here, like the jump across to this structure where there's a Pharaoh's contraption above it, which is a healing pool, which has even more now as he places down a healing warmth pyromancy. There also seems to be one level enemy this group forgot to clean up, so Adam really doesn't have much backup here. One casting of Outcry guarantees some damage as there's nowhere for the Sunbro to run up here, and Adam can push him out of the healing pool and he retreats back onto the platform below. A quick punish there with Forbidden Sun, Pyromancy Glove on the left hand as well, and still managed to snipe him from this very awkward position. Next up is the big white summon Havel monster, dual wielding a greatsword and a lance. The final Sunbro sorcerer remains and takes a surprise Forbidden Sun directly to the face. Sorcerers are often weaker with less defense and health, so once they're alone, they don't last nearly as long. After patch 1.03, the Black Knight Greatsword can be buffed with spells, so Adam buffs it with Flame Weapon, guard breaks the host turtling behind his Havel shield and just clearly outmatches him. What an invasion. That whole sequence was almost flawless. He took 2 hits, one from a flying dark orb at the start, which was fair, and one random lag spike at the end, but otherwise that was a clean dividing and conquering of 4 opponents. For number 1, we have, to my knowledge, something that has never been done before, even though this was achieved a while ago, as it was done during the time people had figured out how to invade into other people's boss fights. But essentially, people found ways to action queue the Dark Sign item and trick the game as a mound maker, and they ended up forcing their way into people's worlds and following them through the boss fog door. You could tell when this worked because the game bugged out a bit and gave everyone 2 floating health bars. This was one of the biggest exploits in Dark Souls 3 history, giving purple invaders the choice to be evil or friendly. It really is a whole different story trying to have a PvP fight when there's a powerful boss damaging everyone. But the reason why this submission is at number 1 is because of this. An entire armor menu swap in between a parry and a riposte. He parries the poor host and changes his armor set completely into the Soul of Cinder, which of course is the boss fight they're in right now. Menu swaps an entire outfit change into the boss himself in less than 2 seconds before taking the killing blow. And theoretically, no one will ever be able to attempt this again since the exploit was patched, so this is a true piece of Dark Souls history right here. Just so you're aware, I still have loads of clips from this topic that I couldn't fit into this episode today, so I'll be making a part 2 of this topic, which does mean I don't really have anything for you to submit for this week except my separate Bloodborne top 10 series, which at the moment the topic to submit for is combos. So it'd be cool if you had anything for that. Big thank you to everyone who subscribed and likes these videos, and most of all, participates in them. See you in the next one.